So what was the question again? Oh, why is it called the traffic jam? Well, you know, the reason is, it's because I have two really cool cars. Seriously cool cars. And I love drifting, racing, because I am fast and slick. And plus, I like to create a bit of traffic jam myself with a whole lot of great music. Bulumaka, my name is Rio, your host and DJ, right here on the Today FM Traffic Jam every weekday from 3 p.m. to 7. Right here on Today FM, today's hit music.
Good evening, this is FBC News. I'm Jackie Spate in this bulletin. Stakeholders to meet next week discussing joint statement to the International Labour Organization. Fiji to co-host a UN conference on oceans and small island developing states. And Nadi banks on development to spur local economy. Leading the news tonight, the Vodafone Flying Fijians will finish outside the top 3 spots in its Rugby World Cup pool after losing to Wales 23-13 this morning. The Akapusingera-led side played valiantly, but like their first 2 matches, lacked the finishing touch against a higher-ranked opponent. Chalinda Dakadaka has more.
The Millennium Stadium was filled to the brink for the Pool A encounter between Wales and Fiji. Wales got off to a grand start with a try to halfback and eventual man of the match, Gareth Davis.
Down now, but it's not slowed down for Gareth Davis.
Fly half Ben Walla Walla put Fiji on the scoreboard 10 minutes later before his counterpart Dan Biggar extended Wales' lead to 10-3 in the 27th minute.
So far, of course, along with the likes of Dan Carter and Owen Farrell, and you can see what
the hosts scored their second try to hooker Scott Baldwin for a 14-point buffer before Walla Walla secured a second penalty right before halftime.
a better effort.
Fiji came out firing in the second half with this break from winger Aiseli Tikurituma leading to a try to centre Vereniki Ngoneva.
Bells ringing in the Welsh camp right now as Fiji flood forward. The offload is there. Guneva.
Even Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama gave his approval from the sideline. Despite the late flurry, Wales held on with 2 more penalties to Biggar to secure their 3rd win from as many games. Fiji came out of the match without securing a point once again, but proving to the world that they are no easy beats. Talendo Dakadaka, FBC Sports.
The Employment Relations Advisory Board will convene next week about a joint agreement on Fiji's compliance with International Labour Organization conventions. Attorney General Ayaz Said Kayum told the Fiji Commerce and Employers Federation Conference at the Warwick, Fiji on the Coral Coast last night, Fiji has complied with all the requirements set out by the ILO. Eleanor Tarangaivu has the story.
Almost 4 months after they returned from the ILO conference in Geneva, the government, the Fiji Commerce and Employers Federation and the Fiji Trades Union Congress are expected to meet next week.
We have the Employment Relations Advisory Board being reconvened next week with an expanded Employment Relations Advisory Board, where we'll have 10 reps from each of the 3 representative groups.
The group is expected to discuss a joint agreement to the ILO after the Fiji Trades Union Congress filed a complaint against the government claiming non-observance of the freedom of association and the protection of the right to organize. Attorney General Ayaz Said Kayum says Fiji has addressed the complaint by repealing the Essential Industries Decree and amending the Employment Relations Promulgation.
The complaint on the face of it obviously is no longer a problem because we've now complained with the core ILO conventions. We have certain worker organizations that actually are holding that over our head. Whether you call it a gun over our head or a hammer over our head, whatever it may be. But the point is we've complied with the core ILO conventions. ILO wants everybody to be very happy and say that we're all in agreement with this.
FBC News understands members of the Employment Relations Advisory Board are expected to be announced soon. failure to come up with a joint report or an agreement on a way forward could see an ILO-sanctioned commission of inquiry into Fiji's labor conditions. Eleanor Turangaiwiu, FBC News.
Fiji has shown its support and commitment to protecting the ocean as part of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama says the country has big plans for achieving Goal 14, conserving and sustainably using the oceans, seas and marine resources. Akosita Tale reports.
It's important to use the ocean and its resources wisely for the future of Fiji and the Pacific. Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama has stressed the need for concrete, specific action, not just at the World Trade Organization and at the UN, but equally at national and regional levels.
In the Pacific Ocean, for too long now, we have observed a decline in our ocean's health, as evidenced by dying coral, marine pollution, damaged coastal ecosystems, declining fish stocks, and ocean acidification.
Together with the government of Sweden, Fiji has agreed to co-host the first of the 5 triennial UN conferences on oceans and the seas to be held in June 2017.
We are taking this action for one reason, and that is to ensure the successful implementation of SDG 14, the Ocean SDG, so that we can rectify the decline in which the ocean has been caught.
Bainimarama adds this will be conferences for action, not talk. Governments, international organizations, scientists, business leaders and others will gather at the 5 conferences to assess progress and hold participants accountable for meeting targets. Akosita Tale, FBC News.
The completion of the Nadi International Airport refurbishment and the Naisoso to Denarau 4-lane road project will be the catalyst in promoting Nadi's bid to become a city. Special Administrator Robin Ali is positive the future is looking brighter for the flood-prone tourist capital. Madium Bolaitamana has more.
As the works for this 4-lane road project steams to full throttle, the man at the helm of the Nadi Town Council is already gleaming with great optimism at what the future holds.
And to become a city, we have to really do hard work on that to bring it up to that status. So we are improving the town infrastructure, we are improving the landscapings, we are improving in all the aspects where people are going to come and use the facilities, and we have got...
But it will be no mean feat. Ali concedes while they will knock on government's door for assistance, there can be other avenues that can be tapped into.
We prepare our annual budgets and we address those projects with that, and we also have applied for assistance from the government. And our Namaka and Nadi market extension was fully financed by the government. And we have also made some PSIP proposals to the government, which includes Namaka market.
With investors both local and abroad already staking claim in wanting a piece of a cake when this project is complete, Ali says this can only augur well with their plans as they try to prop Nadi as a city in the coming months. Madhim Bolaitamana, FBC News.
Still to come, stakeholders committed to creating more awareness on breast cancer.
Nama kike rau mena tolu kene bitu ena via kabi moliti kene porombuka gori ana lali ne kabi Bula FM namba 2 ena sere.
The Nasino Magistrates Court has refused bail for Chone Dokanuto, who's been charged with rape and indecent assault. Dokanuto will remain in custody and apply for a fresh bail application in the Suva High Court on October 16th. However, the Nasino Magistrates Court will hear the case of alleged indecent assault on October 19th. The court heard that the alleged victims are church members and has ordered name suppression. Dokanuto, who is a pastor, has been charged with 2 counts of rape and 2 counts of indecent assault. Mothers and young women have been urged to use the screening services at the CWM hospital in Suva to detect breast cancer and save lives. Acting Permanent Secretary for Health Mithuisela Tuivakau says breast cancer has become a worrying trend. Ali Kimbia has more.
There were 179 cases of breast cancer recorded with the Ministry of Health in 2013, and these were the latest figures available on record.
Therefore, there needs to be a strong advocacy for self-examination and self-ownership of health. The community has to have faith and trust in our health system. It is this fear that sometimes causes our community to seek other forms of treatment or healers before they reach our door.
Acting Permanent Secretary for Health Mithuisela Tuivakau launched Breast Cancer Awareness Week today, saying the latest case is a 17-year-old teenager. There are 20 cases of breast cancer recorded in women under the age of 30.
So the prevention strategy is that we need to do early screening for high-risk groups. For if your mother had breast cancer, your sister had breast cancer, or your daughter has breast cancer, you need to be screened around 5 to 10 years earlier than the age group in which they were diagnosed. Okay? Breast self-examination is something that is quite common, and mammogram.
The Ministry of Health wants mothers and young women to get themselves screened for breast cancer. This will ensure early detection is treated appropriately and lives are saved. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
The Fiji Law Society is being revived. Newly elected President Laurel Varasi says after being dormant for 8 years, the society is back up and running with an aim to increase membership, build legal capacity and raise awareness of new legislation. Maggie Boyle with the story.
Laurel Varesi is the new president of the Fiji Law Society. She's faced with the arduous task of bringing the organization back from oblivion.
You have a professional body that is here to help you, mentor you, provide professional support for you, provide continuing legal education to ensure that your practicing certificate is secured, and really, you know, it's like a parent, someone that's there, got your back for you.
With 120 registered members and counting, the voluntary organization, Varasi says, will now work hard towards attracting more lawyers to join.
And not only just attract them, maintain them, maintain numbers, so improvement in the various benefits that we provide them, as well as finding a way to ensure that the new members, or at least lawyers in general, take ownership of this body.
Key priority areas will be re-establishing relationships with the judiciary and the government. As the first woman president, Varesi's one-year term will be telling as she tries having to steer the Fiji Law Society back into prominence. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
The Minister for Environment and Housing, Parveen Bala, visited victims of a fire that razed their home to the ground in Lomolomo outside Lautoka. Bala, who is touring the Western Division to inspect housing projects, made a quick stopover to meet 3 families renting in this home. He has also offered the families assistance through the Social Welfare Department in the West.
There will be immediate assistance from Social Welfare Office, and also if they can look for a house where they can rent. So they are also looking for a place where they can go and live. But I asked people if they can come forward and assist the families. There were 3 families who were affected.
The fire occurred earlier this week, engulfing the entire home. Fiji has today marked our ongoing recognition of the priceless sacrifice made by our forefathers who served in the Fijian Armed Forces during the First and Second World War. Speaking at the launch of the Poppy Appeal, Defence Minister Timothy Natuva said wearing the poppy symbolises the courage and commitment of those who made the ultimate sacrifice for the sake of peace and freedom. The poppy's distinctively red flower has become a symbol of the world, remembered as the blood, sweat and tears shed by our fallen forefathers. The Defence Minister says people should take part in this worthy cause and wear a poppy to remember the fallen ex-servicemen and honour those who are still with us today. Apete Kaisar will remain confined to St. Giles Hospital and will not be entitled to limited condition release from the hospital in Suva. The Suva High Court has declined applications lodged in court by Kaisar and ruled that the presidential committal order on the 5th November 2003 remains. However, the case will be reviewed in 1 year. Kaisar was found not guilty of murder by reason of insanity for the deaths of former Red Cross director John Scott and Gregory Scrivener in 2001. A Fijian caregiver who abused 2 boys and an elderly man over a long period of time has been sentenced to 8 years and 9 months in prison. 60-year-old Shahidan Nisha was convicted of 27 of the 29 charges that involved assaults. One boy gave evidence of a heated spoon and poker being used to burn his mouth and being forced to chew hot chili peppers. New Zealand media report the boy told the court of not being able to eat or drink for days after the punishments. The assaults occurred in Christchurch. And Jamie joins you now with sports and more on the Flying Fijians.
Good evening. That's right. Coming up, Flying Fijians maintain its powerful scrummaging at the Rugby World Cup. Also up ahead, teams ready for start of Courts IDC this weekend. This and more after the break.
छू 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 हे नमस्ते फीजी। आपके हर एक प्रॉब्लम की दवा लेकर मैं आ गई हूँ 9 से 12 बजे तक आपकी सहेली रेनू। छू 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 40 में 20 का दिखना है। मैं हूँ ना आपके साथ में मिर्ची एफएम पर 9 से 12 बजे तक मंडे टू फ्राइडे। मिर्ची इट्स हॉट।
Despite the loss to current world number 2 Wales this morning, the Flying Fijians put on another spirited display at the Rugby World Cup. Fiji not only pushed the Dragons to the limit, but showed them a thing or two in the set pieces. Talenda Dakadaka reports.
The reports and updates of the Rugby World Cup is proudly presented by Vodafone, Power to You, and Airports Fiji Limited, creating new experiences, Fiji's gateway to the world. In association with FMF, the right choice. Total Exilium New Generation, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometer after kilometer. Sun Insurance, for Fijians by Fijians. Supported by Fiji Airways, Deluxe, Island Chill, Comfort Home Furnishing, Rooster Chicken, Legal Aid, Land Transport Authority, and Central Rentals.
Tiring. Fiji's major improvement in the set pieces has been a highlight of this year's World Cup, and this was evident in the team's third pool match this morning. Fiji dominated the scrums from the first half against the Dragons' forward pack.
This is the toughest pool in the Rugby World Cup, and I think Fiji have really can hold their heads high. Although we haven't had a win yet, we've run those teams all very close at times during the game, and good luck to those teams and the rest of the comp. We're a little disappointed that we haven't had a win thus far, but I think we've shown that we are very capable of challenging the top teams.
It was a bittersweet moment for the captain, who was celebrating his 50th Test cap.
We thought that we're going to try and sneak in the second half, but they were critical in all their plays, so congratulations to Wales.
Wales will not rest easy following the bruising encounter with the England versus Australia match to determine their place in the quarterfinals.
You've got to give credit to Fiji. That was so tough. I mean, first half, I was knackered first half, and then that third round was tough, but give credit to Fiji. They played with like they had nothing to lose. Really quick game, made it extremely tough for us.
Fiji's quarterfinal hopes are now officially dashed, with one game remaining against Uruguay next Wednesday. Barring an upset against the South Americans, Fiji will look to salvage some pride from what has been a brutal World Cup campaign. Talent Odakadaka, FBC Sports.
Well, scrums were an area that haunted Fiji for the longest time. Today, the Flying Fijians proved once again at the World Cup that its scrums are a new force to reckon with. Rohit Deo has more.
Game for the Welsh, especially if they're going backwards at a rate of knots like that. So impressive.
Well, that's just how well the Fijians have sorted out.
A place in the quarterfinal is not achievable for the Flying Fijians. This World Cup has been one of battling the big guns of the game, and didn't they battle well. Fiji's scrums were too powerful against the Welsh, even though there was a pack weight of a difference of more than 40 kg favouring the Welsh.
Yeah, it was from the coaches and especially from the boys in the ground, the pack, how we held each other. We love doing it now. We love it.
Fiji is known to give a lot of tries at scrum time in the past, but there has been none so far in this tournament. The man leading the scrums commended his boys for a gallant performance.
It's a great feeling. I guess for 18 months of hard work is paying off for the Fiji pack, and dominating in the past 3 games in the scrum is an amazing feeling, and we're so happy about the tight 5 and the 3 loses.
It is a World Cup similar to 2011 when Fiji finished 4th in its pool, but the difference in terms of the quality of the game displayed by the Fijians is quite clear. Uruguay is up next and they need to do their homework well if they are to counter this Fijian pack. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
Defending champions of the Courts Inter-District Championships, Suva are wary of newcomers Ndreketi in the tournament opener tomorrow. Ndreketi opened their campaign in the top league in front of their home fans in Lambasa, and the capital city side know it won't be easy riding.
If you look at the soccer fans in North, I think they will be all supporting Ndreketi, so we have to be very careful. And I know they will play very well in front of the home ground. So this game for us will be a tough game.
Suva meet Ndreketi at 1 p.m. while at 3 p.m. Lambasa takes on Rewa. The Lautoka football team will be making a few changes to its lineup for its first match at the Courts IDC against Nadi this weekend. In the past few weeks of training, coaches have been working closely with players on their defense. The Blues are also targeting to strengthen their back row, which has let them down in the past. Lautoka will take on Nadi at 4 p.m. on Sunday at Prince Charles Park in Nadi, while Mba takes on Nandraga at 2 p.m. Fiji para-table tennis rep Mary Roden is on track to qualify for the 2016 Paralympic Games in Brazil. The Oceania #2 player will compete in a mandatory qualifying event in China in November to secure her ticket to Rio. Today, the Fiji Sports Commission donated $20,500 to fund her preparations for the competition.
I thank everyone who have supported me in every way, directly, indirectly, to be able to make these things happen. And yeah, Fiji Sports Commission for the big grant to be able to have an assistant all the way to China.
And what a remarkable journey for Roden, having only taken up the sport in September last year. We wrap up sports on that note. It's back to Jackie now with business.
Attorney General Ayaz Said Qayyum says there needs to be more private sector participation in all sectors of society. Speaking at the Fiji Commerce and Employees Federation top executive conference last night, Said Qayyum said one area that needs private sector involvement is medical services to lessen pressure on the public health system. He told participants that they are at different levels of decision making and should seriously look into greater participation.
We need more entrepreneurship. We need more executive sort of decisions being made in those spaces that we have traditionally not seen private sector go into. And I think that is very critical to do that. That also then helps the government to be able to focus on some of the core businesses and indeed perhaps leapfrog into providing those services rather than taking a linear pattern of development.
The Fiji Commerce and Employers Federation is holding its annual meeting at the Warwick, Fiji. Isolated showers was experienced over the eastern, the interior and the southern parts of the larger islands. Afternoon cloudy periods prevailed elsewhere. A trough of low pressure with associated cloud and rain slow moving over Tokelau and Tuvalu. Another weak trough of low pressure lies to the east of northern Cooks and extends southeastwards to French Polynesia. It was a fairly warm day around the Fiji group. Lambasa hit 31 degrees, Lautoka and Ba were 30 this afternoon, while the other centres were in the high 20s. It's a mixed bag tomorrow with the weather in the morning giving way to cloudy conditions and showers in the afternoon. Outlook for Sunday is brief showers about the eastern and interior parts of the larger islands, elsewhere isolated afternoon or evening showers. The main points again, stakeholders to meet next week discussing joint statement to the International Labour Organization, Fiji to co-host a UN conference on oceans and small island developing states, and Nadi banks on development to spur local economy. To the poll question for this week, we're asking, are there enough litter bins in public places? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. Have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Ni modo manda.